Yeah, it's about the bag with the triple single crew. We got Ronnie, Doc, Antonio, the real deal too. They coming and dropping knowledge, you know that they get to work. You know that triple single cover Bay Area sports. You know I'm coming hard, I don't feel like I'm in a hurry. Like number 30, I really got the range like Stephen Curry. Get a couple rings, you know.
How's it going, everybody? This is The Real Deal, and I'm here with Doc, Antonio Martinez, and Ronnie. Thanks for joining us once again on the Triple Single crew at TSC Bay Area. Remember to follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And here, this is our channel at TSC Bay Area here on YouTube. So let's get into it, fellas. So what do you guys think it would take to get Deshaun Watson in a 49er uniform?
You know, talking about it these past couple of days, I believe that it'll take at least 2 to 3, maybe even 4 first-round picks, and add a couple players to it like Kinlaw or Armstead. You know, Deshaun Watson, the year that he just had, you know, obviously it didn't result in wins, as many as he would like to have to compete for, you know, Super Bowl. But he played great, you know, after losing his top receiver in DeAndre Hopkins to a trade. You know, 4-12 is not going to cut it, but the year that he showed and, you know, the fact that he wants out, a lot of teams are going to be calling for him. So I say 2, 3, even 4 first-round picks, I would say, and a few players to be able to get him in a 90 uniform.
Wow. Yeah, man. I mean, I could see that. I think for me, I think it would be a really steep price to pay. I mean, just looking at what happened today with Wentz, initially I thought it was just going to be a 3rd-round pick, and then that turned into a 3rd this year, a 2nd next year, which could turn into a 1st, depending on, I think he needs to have like 70% of his snaps, needs to play 70% of his snaps or make the playoffs. That becomes a 1st-rounder. So, I mean, that's actually pretty high price for a guy that that really struggled this year. I mean, he played MVP caliber a few years ago, but I mean, to me, it's about what have you done for me lately? And if we look at that trade, we look at the Stafford trade, Stafford Goff situation. I mean, I'm with you. I think I'm looking at 4 first-rounders plus players. You know? So, and when we say players, we're talking about our cornerstones like Bosa, like not Kinlaw. I would actually say Warner, guys of that ilk. Obviously, we're not going to try to trade Kittle, but yeah, that's probably what we're talking about. So for me, I think the price is going up is the way I view it, because I wasn't valuing Wentz nearly as high as what the Colts were willing to pay for him. And it just tells you about the market too. Even though he's expensive, they're willing to do that, you know. And I mean, Deshaun is way better than the question mark that guy is. And so I don't know, Doc. Throw a log into the fire here, man. I have no idea.
Yeah, most definitely. I know this is a conversation that I've been really excited for us to tackle. I know The Real Deal and I have been talking about it ad nauseum since the offseason hit. And so my take on it is that there are a ton of rumors out there regarding Watson and what it would take to acquire him. You have teams like the Miami Dolphins who have Tua and 2 first-round picks that they could potentially offer. You got the New York Jets who have the 2nd overall pick that they could offer in addition to, I'm sure, other draft picks and maybe even some players themselves. You got the Denver Broncos who are also desperate for a quarterback. And then you got our very own, the Red and Gold. I know I'm a huge fan of us going all in on Deshaun Watson, as I truly believe that he would be the first franchise quarterback that we would have since Steve Young. What I love about the idea of getting Watson is that as long as he stays healthy and his production doesn't just completely diminish, he will give us the opportunity to compete for a championship for the next 5 to 10 years. It will also be the first time since Colin Kaepernick was in his prime that we would not have to even think twice about who is taking snaps under center. Now, to what would it take to get Deshaun Watson? I believe that it'll end up being at least 3 to 4 first-round picks, maybe 2 third-round picks, and I would say at least 1 defensive starter. I'm of the belief that, yes, the Texans can ask for Warner or Bosa, but their alternative is them sending him to the AFC where Watson will then be able to play them in the playoffs one day or in the regular season a lot more than versus if he was in the NFC. And so I do think that potentially a Kinlaw, who was also a first round pick last year, which would then potentially, if, let's say we offer 4 first round picks and Kinlaw, that's technically 5 first round picks, right? Or Armstead, who's a former first round pick. In some ways, that's also 5 first round picks, right? So I think one of those two will do it when it's all said and done. And I guess what I would say is that we have to remember that in getting Watson, you are betting that those first round picks will be in the late 20s for those 4 or 5 years. And I know a lot of people will talk about draft capital and how important it is to have, but what does it matter if you're always stuck searching for your team's next franchise quarterback? Watson is a top 5 QB in the league right now who has played at that level even when he hasn't had the best weapons available. Now, just imagine Watson with George Kittle, Raheem the Dream Moser, Brandon Ayuk, Debo Samuel, and I dare any defense to try to stop that offense from scoring at least 24 to 28 points a game. And so that's my take. You go all in on Watson if I'm the red and gold.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I agree in the sense that you're getting a top 5 player. He's a franchise quarterback. I like the age. He's 25, whereas Wentz was like 28 to 29. Extremely expensive. With Watson, it's a lot more workable, especially because he's a top 5 player right now. That. So at his position. So I agree with you in that I would be extremely interested in the sense that I would make that call and I would have an offer ready or several offers, counter offers for the Texans. It's tough to say like how they value our guys. Like, I think that's my only thing. We always tend to overvalue our guys, right? And that's why we were talking about the draft picks. I don't know if Javon Kinlaw is a first round draft pick. He's still so much of a mystery. So that's my only thing that I would say that'd be different. But I agree with you on 4 first rounders, some third rounders, and then somebody.
Yeah.
And so, that's kind of where I'm at with it. And I do think a lot of this too is just teams are already trying to make moves before the draft even happens. And especially at quarterback. And I think they see what we are starting to see, that the market is just pick up and things might get even more expensive down the line. So they're willing to pay a little bit of an expensive price right now so that they're not stuck on draft day trying to figure things out. So I don't want us to be in that position, but at the same time, it's just, you got to make sure that when you take the risk that you believe in, that you've assessed these players, and then you just go with it. We've talked about how we feel about Jimmy G, and if he's healthy, he's a very capable starter. But the problem is that he's rarely healthy. And I go back and forth with fans on this too, just on different chats and the comment section. And it's really tough to try to convince somebody, hey, I like the guy, but I don't know if I like him enough based on what he's offered me thus far and the health. The health is so big. So, that's kind of where I'm at. But yeah, I'm kind of.
I think the other thing to just take into consideration, right, is that Deshaun has a no trade clause. So at the end of the day, he's going to have a big say in where he goes, right? And so I don't think that, in my opinion, it would be very dumb, that, for a lack of a better word, for the Texans to send Watson within the AFC. I think that'd be worst case scenario for them, right? Yes, they can get probably a bigger package from one of those teams, but then again, like I said, you're stuck facing him, right, within that AFC division.
Yeah.
And can you really live that down? What if he goes and he wins a Super Bowl within the AFC, right? And he just happens to maybe also.
Well, I agree. I agree, but the fact that he's on the trade block period is already insane, right?
No,
I think if they. So like, that's my thing is like, I think if an AFC team comes at him with 4 first rounders and 3 second rounders, they're going to take it. I mean, like, I'm just saying, especially if it's a team that's maybe a fringe, top 15 pick every year, I can't think of somebody right now that won't be contending. Like, the Dolphins are probably going to be contending, so they wouldn't be a top 15 pick for the next 10 years, or I shouldn't say 10 years, but next 5 years. Right. So So we think they're probably 8-8, 10-6 right now, right? Or maybe that's where they want to be. So, that's like you said, you made a great point. Overvaluing first round picks, and this is something we talk about a lot too when we text one another. But it's like, I don't think we value first round picks the same way. Maybe it's just because we come from a franchise where we're used to a franchise that just messes it up and just gets it wrong too often on first rounders. But I don't value them nearly as high. I think quarterbacks and certain positions higher in the first and second round. But in general, that pick, I mean, it can be, for all everyone's talking about how good, they were talking about how good Devontae Smith was going to be. And now I'm hearing things, or I'm reading things that maybe he's not even top 15. So I don't really know, why is that? Is it because the durability issue? Because he's kind of more of a slim down guy. But the talent is incredible. So you don't really know. It didn't hurt Deshaun Jackson really for a chunk of his career. He was really skinny guy and still super dynamic. So, but I'm just trying to say teams overvalue first round picks. So I agree with you. I would not be afraid to give away 3 or 4 first rounders for the right guy.
Yeah. Ronnie, do you have any last take on just the trade value or the rumors that you've been hearing going around?
I agree with both of you 100%. Overlooking a first round pick, Deshaun Watson's already showed you he can play in this league. Mm-hmm. So, if one team or another eventually trades, that many first round picks, I think they'll take it as a dub automatically in that trade because this guy's already shown you that he can play. Yeah. Whereas these 4 first round picks, you don't know if they're going to be good. If so, good for them. But if they're going to be a bust, and, you're going to look not smart at all for making that pick. So I agree with both of you 100%. Make that trade in a heartbeat if they offer. So
yeah, last thing I'll say is that Ronnie and I were talking last night about this same subject. And what I told him is if you trade 4 or 5 first round picks, and if Deshaun Watson brings you even 1 Super Bowl within those 5 years, in my opinion, it was worth it. Right? You don't even think about it. It was worth it. Because when's the last time we won a Super Bowl? 1994. I was 4 years old. I wasn't even old enough to fully understand or process or reflect or celebrate. I want to celebrate. We've lost 2 of our last Super Bowls. I won a Super Bowl. I don't care about first round picks anymore. I don't care about what I call lottery tickets. Those can be hit or miss. We've seen it with, forgive me if I butcher some of their names, Rashawn Woods, whatever his name was. I think we had Balmer out of North Carolina.
Kenwan Balmer.
Yeah, Kenwan Balmer out of UNC.
AJ Jenkins. We'll go down the list.
Yeah,
it's bad.
Go down the list, right? and that's the range when we picked them, right? Because those were in the 20s. That's the range that we're hoping to keep picking, right? If we were to get a Deshaun Watson, or if we are as competitive as we want our team to be next year. So, the likelihood of you getting a dynamic player in that number, it decreases big time.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And one last point, just to support what you're saying, if you put together the next 4 or 5 first round picks of the 49ers, are they going to be better or in equal value to what Deshaun Watson would bring you? The answer is probably 90% no, 90%. Over 90%, right? Mm-hmm. You're probably not going to find that guy in your next 4 or 5. If we're going to be competing, right? Let's say, even if we're just 8-8, right? The next 4 or 5 years, you're not going to find, you put all those picks together, they won't have as much value as Deshaun. So I agree, fellas. But with that, I think we're going to wrap it up for this episode here of TSC. Make sure you guys subscribe and like the channel. We'll see you guys next time.
See y'all.
Peace.
Yeah, it's by the bag with the triple single crew. We got Ronnie, Doc, Antonio, the real deal too. They coming and dropping knowledge. You know that they get to